Now I'm recording. There we go. But how was
Oh,
your
good
day
day.
since I played with you last night?
I had to get up super early. Landed 2 rooftop units. Was done work by 9 a.m. Fucked around on GTA for a bit and thought about D&D. That was about it.
Right on. I'm kind of sad you guys moved on from Red Dead, though.
Oh, we'll go back. Red Dead 3 is sounding like it's going to be a lot like GTA Online, but with horses.
Yeah,
So it
from what
sounds
it
like
seems
fun
like, you
and more
guys
fun.
go through like periods of cycles where for months you'll play one game just grinding the fuck out of it, and then move on to another one, grind the fuck out of it.
Pretty much, yeah. We
Yeah,
like
like you
teamwork
guys are,
too.
yeah, you guys are like dedicated to just doing those heists, which is pretty fucking fun. But like you see,
Oh, it
I
is.
like simple things like just riding a BMX through the hood or doing first person drive bys just because I'm bored while listening to the music on the radio. Like I got some crazy footage. Like if you've ever watched any like drive by footage, like like the deaths and stuff. Like GTA in first person, when you drive by someone, first person with a pistol, and then you aim into someone's window, it is fucking. It just it just reminds me of all the LimeWire videos and shit. It's pretty crazy. And I was like, holy fuck, I could probably turn this into like a little YouTube short. Since rap music in GTA is like huge because rappers opening their own servers and stuff, doing gang role play, which is hilarious. They gangbangers, move from rapping onto GTA Online RP, which is hilarious because role play was usually for nerdy weird guys. But here they are pretending to be O Block gang members from Chicago while they are from fucking a completely different state far away. I thought it was just weird. And then you have the actual one of the actual like Chief Keef. Everyone heard that name at some point in time. A black disciple from Chicago. He's into GTA RP, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? You're role playing your own fucking gang? Well, it wouldn't be role play, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like hilarious, but also like super bizarre. It's like, huh? Well, we're one step away from rappers getting caught ERPing with somebody. And then I will do a fucking
Holy
video
fuck.
that will do millions of views if that's the case. I gotta watch some shit I hate watching just so I can find some interesting shit. And I have to find a new subject since Hard Rock Nick took out my video, so it looks like I haven't uploaded in 3 weeks, 2 weeks. I'm pissed.
Back.
The fucking pedophile.
A lot of the
Yes,
watchtowers.
we have like a month to catch up. Well, there's only like 2 or 3
Well,
episodes
not a hell of
seasons
a lot
left.
happened. It was just vacations happened.
Mm-hmm.
2 sessions because of vacations. You and I never talked that one Thursday because I said we were in the middle of something
Mm-hmm.
that we had to resolve.
I was sick
And then
once.
we had
You weren't
last
feeling
Tuesday.
one. We had some
Yeah.
situation, and then fourth week it was vacation. Yeah.
So we're all back again. So nothing really happened in that time except for where we left off. So that where we left off was they had been breaking into King's Hold over the course of a week,
That's right.
trying to figure out a way to get Nathan's out. And when we left, met, they were planning on actually snatching him
They
and
had
going.
Nathan's at that point, right? They were just trying to figure out how to get out, or were they about to snatch him? I can't
I
remember. It's
can't
been so
remember
long.
exactly where we left off, so this may be reiterating it, but
I
it
think
won't
they
hurt.
had him.
Anyway,
I think they
yeah.
had
So
him.
anywho,
All right.
they planned on actually getting him out of there. They waited. The weather fucked them out of the first day. They waited.
Oh shit.
And then they changed their plan. Andromeda got in touch with her brother Darius and told him that he was to meet them on the main docks over here after they snatched him. And then from there, they were going to take the submersible away and Bob's your uncle. One of the changes that happened in between then is there's a Galdron ship out at sea, out here. And in that dock, they learned through observation that the guy that's in that ship is one of Withers's main hounds. He's got all sorts of people searching for Andromeda all over the world. And he's one of the ones that's been searching for her. And he heard her last location was in Sort, and he's just following up on that one.
Was in Sork?
From,
I'm just kidding. I know it's
or
Sork.
not Sort, Kirill. My mistake,
Oh,
actually, it
you
was
fucked
Kirill.
it up, and I was making a
I
joke.
fucked it up. You jog my memory. I'm like, he's right. No, that doesn't make sense. But anyway, in Kirill, he got their last known location. He's been just following them up, as I said. He has an actual sailing ship, so he is faster than their submersible anyway. So that's how he was able to catch up in the week. So after that, they get all their spells together, get a good plan. Weather fucks them out of the first day. They get to do it the second day. They get into the High Protector's manor, no issue at all. Get to his bedside, no issue at all, and determine that he's been possessed. prior to this,
Oh yeah, that's
they
right.
were
He was
going
possessed.
to they were just going to dispel magic, but when they went in there, they realized it wasn't magic. It was actually possession, like demonic possession, but a person. People can possess other people, but then there's like all these rules they got to follow. Chief of which is they're more of a parasite, so they need a host. So if they do anything to Nathan's, it actually hurts Nathan's and not the possessing spirit. But you got to be careful because the possessing spirit can try to possess someone else outside of it.
I remember that. Okay, yeah. Like
Yep. So yeah, that should be coming back. So from that point on, that's kind of what they were like. Okay, well, their plan was we're going to cast protection from evil, and then we're going to snap them out of it because under protection from evil, as long as that spell's active, Nathan's can't be influenced by the possessing spirit. They can speak with them in a one-on-one kind of way. Get there, they realize he's totally unconscious. They kind of like snap their fingers under his nose, realize he's not waking up. So they're like, fuck it, we'll deal with it on the boat rather than dealing with it here where we could be found out. They pulled this all off without a hitch because there was no reason otherwise. Now, again, during the week that they were watching everything through, they noticed that this night in particular, there were a lot less guards on the walls, but they weren't sure what it was in regards to. Because also remember there was... Or no! Oh, fuck.
there was
Am I
something with the
fucking this all
guards.
up?
I remember there was something with the guards, but I forget.
No, you know what? I'm fucking this all up. It's been
Wait,
a
no,
little
weren't they
while.
all on the wall on one side? But at
No,
night,
I'm I'm misremembering this. Sorry. What I'm describing is the
unreliable
time that they got
narrator.
there. No, yeah, it's my bad. It's been like 6 weeks. Um, they What I'm describing is when they broke in and they figured out he was possessed in the first place. Then they go through all their stuff, get fucked by the weather, and that's all the same. Now I got to get to the part where I screwed up. So they follow the river back down to do their plan to snatch him. And what I described also is what they wanted to do. They wanted to cast protection from evil. But I knew the whole time that no matter what they did, when they got there, the place was already going to be under attack. So it was under attack by a horde of undead outside here on this hillside. They arrive here on this side of the river as per usual. Usually they go down this riverbank and then they cast the bridge and then they go along this side of the wall and they're in. That's usually how they do it. So they get to here, see that there's a battle going on. From observation, they take a couple minutes to observe what's going on. They realize that all the vampire that's leading this and all the best undead are slowly making their way towards the front of the line. Surprisingly, these guys are holding out. I make it so that I tell them like every minute counts. You guys got to get there as fast as you can, but they wanted to know what they were getting into. They got particularly lucky because I just made Rightful roll because he's usually beside me. And I just said, roll the percentage of men that are killed in the time it takes you guys.
What's their character name?
Not Rifle. Thank you. I'm playing too much GTA.
I know.
Yeah, Shaw.
It's a different channel.
Shaw. I make Shaw roll all the time. They're the same person anyway. I make Shaw roll for how much, like what percentage of the guard is left alive that they can rely upon because they have to double back now. They don't want anybody to see them over here, so they're gonna go back up the river, across the river, and approach to. This is the spot right here. I'm gonna hover my mouse there for a little bit. You can see between those trees. That was the overlook. It's probably a bit hard to tell because we're not the best resolution, but there is changes in the contour lines going up here. This point here is actually the same height as the castle walls going across, just due to the lay of the land. Everything drops down here towards the river, and that's a drastic drop down that cliff. So you're actually almost eyeballing. And it's hard for people from here to look and see through the foliage on this hillside. So anyway, it's a prime spot. That's where they want to go. And then from there, they're going to observe exactly what's happening here and plan their attack from that point. They double back. Rightful rolls 99, so they only lost 1% of their troops while they made their trip across. So that was pretty sweet. They get there, realize there's still a ton of troops left. Realize also that the vampire and the specters are just about to hit the front lines. In fact, they have hit the front lines by the time they get there, and they're starting to chew their way through. This whole bridge is chock full of Galdrin soldiers and the remainders of the Watch. If you'll remember, I believe I explained that Galdrin had taken over the actual castle, and they were making all of the soldiers that used to hold this castle basically the fodder on the front lines to slow down the undead advance.
How rough is that?
Pretty rough because, Withers is a fag. So, moving on from there, they decide that they're going to try to do this secretly. That's this is important. At this point in time, they all meet and they're like, we're going to try to do this secretly. Their plan is Zverg he's an illusionist, so he decides to make an illusion of a Fangorian spellcaster. So the Fangorian spellcaster is supposed to be... Sorry?
I said Quick is like the loudest character, though.
No, not Quick. Andromeda, Zverg, the illusionist, is going to make
I'm not saying he's doing it. I'm just saying Quick would be the one to give him away because, just the shenanigans.
Oh, yeah, because he does brash things. Yeah, no.
That's what I meant. My bad.
I knew what you meant. But yeah, no, they want to kind of throw suspicion away from them. So they make an image of a Fangorian druid on the treant and everything, because he can make pretty large images by this point. So he makes a large image of that to kind of throw suspicion off whether Andromeda's there or not. So, like if they use druidic magic, now it looks like a Fangorian druid's doing it. It's also known that Fangorn isn't exactly thrilled with Galdrin because Galdrin backed the rebels, and everybody knows it. And even though the rebellion failed, they still, they're like, yo, man, it's like Ukraine and Russia right now, how the U.S. is sending them weapons. It's the exact same thing. They're backing the side of one side of the war, and obviously the people on the opposite side of the war are not thrilled about it. So they observe the battle, realize what's going on with the vampires, plan their attack. To get from this point here to the bridge will actually take them about 5 minutes. Now that's actually quite far. That's 150 feet, but you also have to take into account they're running through foliage, down a hill, because this is all a downward slope, and above all, they're trying to hide from the undead. Now there's a huge swarm of undead here. This whole thing is just a swarm of undead. And at the front of the undead horde, between these two giant spots, I'll zoom in a bit. This is a tower 20 feet tall, guys all over here. I swear I've already done this, but whatever. Shaw.
Q for Quick.
So Quick and Shaw make their way down to this point in the bridge. In the time that they get there, the vampire and the specters manage to slaughter their way a little further in there. About 9 or 10 guys have been killed by them. The vampire's enjoying himself. All the zombies are just standing in a listless horde over here. So they're just doing their thing, being fags, doing what zombies do.
Sucking, man.
It's known just through being a watchman. That's all the zombies. It's known through being a watchman, and Quick and Shaw are both watchmen, that usually a vampire will be the one that controls the undead, because the vampire can attune itself to Tixis's mythal, which is the desolation of Tixis, is just him taking a mythal. A mythal is a large area in which, almost like a shroud, in which people of certain types or creatures of certain types can cast spells beyond their normal limit. Like, if they're a fighter, they can cast like fireballs as long as they meet these certain requirements. In this case, Tixis is attuned to vampires being able to control a horde of undead. Obviously, the undead are going to do what Spellcaster tells them anyway, but this allows them to control even more than normal. Basically 5 times their normal capacity. So there is there's over 100 zombies parked in front of this place, and about 20 of them got slaughtered by the guys on the bridge before the vampire. So it's a vampire, which is, everybody knows what a vampire is.
Yep.
2 specters. A specter is a see-through, like a ghost, like a traditional ghost, like a Casper the Ghost kind of thing.
What specters were, because I had a different idea of what they were.
Okay.
I remember that in the last episode.
No, sorry, not a specter. A wraith. My bad. A wraith.
Oh, okay. What's a wraith again?
A wraith is the same as a specter, just a little more deadly.
Yeah.
So they're different terminology. And then the last thing was a ghast, and the ghast can paralyze you. So these are like not
you
like
know.
small undead. See, I already have described this, haven't
Well,
I?
we need to cover it because it's
Yeah,
been
just to
weeks.
jog everyone anyway, because it'll be a while
And
between these
plus, it
two
was an
probably.
hour and 50 minute episode that will be uploaded. So, like, I mean,
We'll try to be more concise.
and you can
So
go over it
I'm
again
gonna
because people
I'm
are
gonna
going to
speed through
forget.
this then. So Quick and Shaw then, as you remember, go to the top here, jump down. Quick uses his steal spell to steal the spell for controlling undead from the vampire.
Mm-hmm.
He then controls all the zombies and he decides to make them fight each other. So all the zombies start fighting each other. In the meantime, Andromeda has cast Call Lightning, and she's been calling down lightning bolts, hitting stuff and weakening it.
Oh, I
Shawindar
didn't know
has
that.
his time in the sun. Shawindar, sorry. Shawindar. He jumps down, he attacks the vampire, kills the vampire on the charge, kills it one blow. All the people on the bridge are like, whoa. They have no idea who he is because they snuck the whole way down. They're just fighting their asses off, watching all their buddies die. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, a watchman appears, and they can tell he's a watchman. Jumps down, kills the vampire, who's the leader. All of a sudden, the zombies start turning on each other. They're not sure why. Then he turns from there, kills one of the wraiths, and then he kills the ghast. He kills 3 of the biggest keyed up undead there are. I think there was only 1 wraith actually, and 2 ghasts. Another ghast is on the bridge, surrounded by the men. Remember what I said before, that they were trying to stay secret? Well, Shaw kind of lets the cat out of the bag.
Oh,
This doesn't
Shaw.
thrill Andromeda. Well, he was like, he takes the watch seriously, and he saw them all getting there at, like, it's been bugging him as a character the whole time they've been here, because the watch is supposed to stand up to the undead, and here they are down on the bridge like a bunch of suckers, and he wants them to fight back. So he starts browbeating them. So he kills the vampire, kills those other few guys, and then he turns on them and starts scolding them, and then he starts saying the watch's motto. Much like the wall or whatever from Game of Thrones, there'll be some sort of creed, like every honor-bound society has that type of thing. So he starts reciting the creed of the watch, and then all the men start doing it, and this basically inspires them, and they start going crazy. So then Shaw and Quick are like, our work here is done. They fuck off. Andromeda's not thrilled because now they know exactly who they are. I am Shaw. Like, he literally just opens it up. We're all like, look at him like, dude. It was pretty great. He's just the worst.
I am Shaw. I am the enemy to you guys on both sides.
But there's more to it because he can't see it, but Andromeda has that perch that I was talking about. Andromeda can see the wall, and on the wall,
is a perch.
she has a good perch from above, and she sees on the wall, Nathan's. And Nathan starts spazzing out and trying to recite with the watch. And he's basically having a battle of wills with the possessing spirit. Remember, he's been possessed now.
Every now and then, right? Isn't that what the gimmick was?
Yeah, he's like, remember, they're leading him around like Joe Biden's led around. He's got handlers and stuff. But this is the first time in a long time, because he's been possessed for so long, he got really weak. But now he's inspired. Like I said, these guys are heroes. That's what their job is. Well, he just saw one of the most inspiring things people who have dedicated their lives to killing undead could ever see. So this kind of shakes loose his last bit of resolve, and he starts trying to fight the possessing spirit again. And he uses the creed as a focus kind of to do it. However, this isn't enough. And he collapses, and then he's led away, much like James Brown, back into one of the towers. They kind of suit him up and lead him away, and that's what Andromeda sees from her perch above. In the meantime, Zverg this whole time knows that he can't really do much. The undead are immune to pretty much all of his illusion spells. All his flashy shit is worthless. But he doesn't let him get him down. He's just like, whatever, I'm going to do this instead. So he turns invisible and starts booking it down the middle of the zombies to get to down below to help his buddies out down here. Because he stayed up top with Andromeda to help her get all of her stuff off, and then Shaw went and undid all their work. So from there, I thought it was pretty funny. So I think that's actually where we left off last time. Mm-hmm. So from there, they fuck off away and go back to camp. Nobody chases them, and they just leave everyone else to deal with the zombie horde, which they do admirably because all the hard ones are dead. And they cut down all the zombies, or the watch cuts down all the zombies while they're gone. They go back to camp. Keep in mind, too, that Andromeda this whole time is being scried upon by Withers every day, or who she thinks is Withers. Now that he knows.
Wait, hold on. who she
Yeah,
thinks is Withers? Is there like going to be some kind of
that's what I
switch
was
up in the
about to
future?
say. So
Okay, you know
see,
I'll catch that.
I like to let them jump to conclusions sometimes, and he
Ooh,
just assumed it was Withers this whole time. Now he knows Withers himself isn't the spellcaster, so he knows someone else is doing it for him. But he has assumed this whole time that Withers is basically standing over this guy's shoulder, looking through the crystal ball with him. But it has not been Withers who's been scrying on him this whole time. It's been the fucking wizard who works for the Hound guy scrying upon her this whole time.
well, why?
Because he's trying to find her,
The
right?
Hound
He's a
guy.
hound. That's what he does.
Oh, yeah, that's
So he
right.
uses the scrying wizard to try and find him. However, scry is a high level spell, so you draw Tixus's attention every time you use it. So the more he's been using it, the
Ooh,
more crazy he's been driving his main mage.
hell
So
yeah.
this is the main reason that I allowed Andromeda to realize that she was being scried upon. Because this mage is getting worse and worse at what he does because he's going fucking batshit crazy. So
Texas, yeah.
he's been thinking it's Withers the whole time. It's actually that mage. Now Withers does scry upon him, but Withers doesn't need to all the time because that's what he has fucking people for. So he has this guy doing this, trying to figure it out. That's why it's funny that he just saw trees the whole time. So they knew that they were in the Northlands because they were last spotted in Kirill. But because they discovered that they were being scried upon, they were able to stymie him from being able to send out search parties. He was hoping that he could kind of see some landmarks so that he could be able to find Andromeda in the wilderness from his boat. And he was going to go out and get her, but these zombie hordes are loose. He didn't come here expecting to find a last-ditch effort for all the apparent survivors on the entire area. So he's like, son of a bitch. So he gets there. Well, he does the honorable and proper thing because not all these Galdran people are bad. They're fighting for their country as they see it.
Yeah,
So
just
he's
like
like,
how
well, I have
all
to
the
do the right
Russians
thing.
aren't bad, but they just have to do what they're fucking told to do.
Exactly. Same for the Ukrainians.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's true. Yeah.
both sides, right? People just fight for their country. So he's doing the right thing, and he's like, well, now my soldiers are going to help with this last ditch effort against the real menace to the entire world. So he sends all of his guys ashore. They also see that goes ashore are the Blackthorns, which are the best archers in the whole Galdran army. They're elite soldiers. They can shoot bolts of arrows in basically saturate an area and arrows so that people take damage no matter what. It's just how much damage do they take. Like that's how good they are. And then they also have one of the champions of Galdran, which is a slightly higher level champion that's keyed for melee combat or melee combat. We call it meal. Inside joke.
I get you.
Anywho,
Meal.
so they retreat back to their camp. All this stuff happens. Their new plan is to come back and just snatch Nathan's. They do come back again later on. This time when they come back, let me think for a sec. How does it work? Andromeda goes and makes contact with her brother. And that's when he tells her to be at the dock. Like when I was talking before, I was kind of mishmashing the various things all in one. Goes there, makes plans to do this. This time when they go in, they're going in to get Nathan's. And then from there, the plan is to just extricate and get the fuck out, exfiltrate. And from there, take Nathan's with them, go to Sort, and leave these people to die, essentially. It doesn't sit well with the two watch guys, obviously, but that's what it is. They leave again. Now I ask them, how long are you staying there? Because I know that there's another zombie incursion on the way in.
Yeah,
Now I
that
had
would be
planned for this
obvious.
zombie incursion. Yeah, well, it's obviously not going to stop with just the one vampire brood. So I wanted to know whether they'd be around. During that day, they do various things. Again, Andromeda stays off on her own so that the scrying guy can't find her. What they don't know is that the scrying guy actually tries to scry on her multiple times, using the powers of Tixus to duplicate the spell, and in doing so really sucks a lot of the life out of himself. But they do pinpoint their position to not being too far away from the castle, and in their mind they're going to start figuring shit out. Well, what nobody knows is Darius, who is the twin brother of Andromeda, is kidnapped after he leaves her. Darius has to go ashore for whatever reason I feel like saying, and while he's ashore, he hears these soldiers talking about this Andromeda person, because like I said, he sent out search parties once he figured out that they were not too far away from the castle. He started with the shoreline, not realizing how far upriver they actually went. He just figured they were coming along the shoreline because they have their submersible. It made sense in his mind. He's one of those guys that knows everything about his prey. So he sends them ashore. Darius overhears them. He's like, fuck these punks. I could kill all of them because Darius is stacked. So he's like, he wants to find out why these guys want to fuck with his sister because obviously he's a protective older brother. So he allows himself to be kidnapped. Now, the group doesn't know this. So he gets kidnapped in order to figure out who this guy is that has all this power. So this is his plan. He knows he can get out of there too. Like, he's a shape changer. He can get the fuck out of stuff that he wants to. You can just turn into an otter or something and all of a sudden no restraints that you have work on him anymore, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's that. Yeah.
So I don't remember the exact details of how they got into the castle this time. I'm sorry, it just escapes me. But they get there, see the remains of the second battle. They see lesser guys on the walls and they also see that the battle progressed past the bridge and only ended. Sorry, I'm trying to center the map again. The battle ended. Fuck off. Right here. Right in front of where the main docks would be because they were able to hammer down with the arrows down onto here. Heavy losses from the guys that held the bridge last time. Quite a few more bodies and zombies wandering aimlessly just in this area in general. Just like kind of the Walking Dead thing where the residual evil energy just makes them keep going. From there, yeah, they see the less guys, assume it's from that, don't worry about it. They get into the High Protector's manor, realize that Nathan's is totally fucking done. They also find the manor is very deserted. They're kind of confused, but don't think anything of it. Grab Nathan's, thank their good fortune there's not very many people in there, fuck off out to the main dock, and then they realize Darius isn't there. Like I said, he's been kidnapped. They don't know. So Andromeda immediately says, well, fuck it. I'm going to shape change into an eagle, or into an owl, and I'm going to go look for my brother.
I thought you just said e-girl.
I said eagle at first. Yeah, I said eagle at first, but actually it was an owl. So it turns into an owl and flies off to look. He finds a submersible not too far away, pretty much in the spot that he'd met his brother in the first place, because that was the spot it was hidden, because Darius never actually left after he talked to his sister.
By the way, everyone again, Andromeda's played by a human boy, a girl character played by a human boy, so he and she will be mixed up sometimes.
Yeah, so he finds a submersible and drives the submersible back to the main dock and meets the characters. This all takes about 45 minutes or so. He's a good pilot, and it's really not that far away. So drives it back. When he gets back, all the characters get in it, and they start going towards... sorry, I skipped a part. As an owl, he then flies back and checks out the ship and sees that his brother is taken hostage. So, in my mind, I just wanted there to be this cool... it's kind of like the climax in my mind of this portion of the battle. It was never about an army battle. It was about this personal battle between this guy that keeps chasing Andromeda everywhere. I wanted his brother to be the one that was like, holy shit, how dare you fuck with my family? I'm gonna go kick your ass. Yes, I know it's a trap, but your traps don't scare me. I'll spring that shit and get in there. Kind of like the Jedi in Episode 1, where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, they know it's a trap, and Obi-Wan and Anakin, they know it's a trap, or Episode 2 actually, and they're just like, let's spring the trap. In my mind, that's how I thought he would react. He didn't react in that way at all. Didn't go so well, but we still got to the point where he was going to get close. That night, this was near the end of the session, so they started leaving the dock, and as they got close, they were spotted by the wizard on board because he has spells that he can see in the dark. He sees them, and they hear a voice. So they're halfway. So they've left the main dock. The other boat's probably out here somewhere. They are about halfway between the two of them. They hear a magical, amplified voice scream out in common, but with a Galdran accent, that they have the brother, and that they know that Andromeda is out there, and they will trade the brother for Andromeda if she comes peacefully. You know, like, that's such a cliche thing to do, right? You've seen that in almost every movie ever, but I wanted to do it because it's what you do in that kind of situation, right?
It's less cliche if it actually goes the way they say. You know, like, we're not going to harm them. We don't want to harm them. You know,
yeah,
like,
I don't mind cliche.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just making the joke, like, now if nothing did happen, like they said, that wouldn't be cliche because, you know, you're expecting bad to happen when they say it won't. You know what I mean? It's like funny like that.
Andromeda wasn't overly thrilled by any of this because, in Andromeda's mind, Darius was a character and he felt he should have had an opportunity to fight back against his attempt to kidnapping. But I
Okay.
didn't want to tell him the circumstances of the kidnapping because I did also want that real
Emotion.
fear, I guess you could say, of losing a loved one to be there. I wanted him to react how I thought a loved one who'd lost someone. But instead, he took it as this insult to his playing that I just took all these decisions away from him. And that's not what I had intended in the slightest, but that's basically how he took it. So now it became this thing that rather than it was him trying to work with the team and come up with a way to get his brother back, that it was a him versus me thing, and he was just going to try to get his brother back and fuck anything that stood in his way. Now, again, I had already decided that this was going to be the pivotal battle, and I wasn't going to let these things hold me back. Because also keep in mind, they haven't fought the Galdran army for 2 years. They spent
Oh,
all this
that's
time, right? They haven't
yeah.
actually had any fights for over 2 years. In this time, all their tactics that they taught everybody have been figured out by Galdran and accounted for. So the first thing Andromeda tries to do is go underwater and put a hole in the boat. He does so, then realizes they now have copper bottoms in the boat. He's already
Oh,
thought of
ding,
this.
ding,
Now he's
ding.
already thought of this as well. And I told him too after this was all over. I'm like, if this was any other situation than what I'd intended the culmination of this fucking whole first part to be, I'd have let it slide. And he used heat metal to heat up the copper and make another hole, which is
Yeah.
brilliant, right? He had a backup plan, a brilliant backup plan. It hurt me to fucking screw him out of his great backup plan. But like I said, I already had it all set up, and I wasn't gonna let his fucking little pissy pants thing over the fact that I was trying to make a dramatic situation ruin that for the other people in the party. Because they've been itching for a good fight, a hard fight. This fight had a level 10 wizard.
Oh
And
shit.
yeah, and they're only level 6 right now, keep in mind,
That's why I
at
thought.
this
Oh
point.
my god. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh
4
shit.
levels higher than them. A significant challenge. I also had a level 8 champion, or not
And
level 8
it's a level
champion, a
10
level 8
wizard,
captain.
and higher the level wizard, the more fucking
So
dangerous
this
they
was
are.
like, yeah, like that's what I mean. It was a thing, and I tried to assuage him too. I was like, look, man, your brother's gonna be fine. This is for the story. Just go with me. But he just wasn't having it. There were other extenuating circumstances too. So like, I'm not gonna say like he just went off the handle for nothing, or even that he went off the handle. Just there were hard feelings over perceived slights, I guess is what you could say. Although it
Well,
wasn't my intention. I was just trying to make a tense situation to see how their characters reacted. And I've also been saying for a while too that that type of this campaign, that thing me doing, is coming to an end. I just want to do it for the first part to set the tone for the second part that they choose and make their own destiny. But it hasn't been getting through. Anyway, sidetracked. Um, Andromeda goes down, burns a hole through the copper hull. Like I said, screwed him out of that by saying that there was a mid wizard, because I did say there was a 10th level wizard. I just said the 10th level wizard was able to plug the hole. So there you go. You have to go and fight these people on even terms. So he goes back to the sub. So now their sub is about 80 feet away from the ship, and they stop there. At this length, yeah, they can be shot by the crossbowmen, but they see that there's only about 10 blackthorns, or sorry, 15 blackthorns. So half the number of blackthorns that were brought. So that means the other 15 are back on the shore, and they don't see the champion anywhere either. They also notice something else, a deal changer. They see that over half of the crew are not the actual crew. They recognize members of the Watch. So what has been happening in the background is in the day, so it's been about almost a little over 24 hours since Shaw came down and browbeat the living shit out of them for not fighting back against their Galdran oppressors.
and
So
it's,
they were like,
yeah,
well, yeah,
you
we're
fucking
suitably
cowards.
chastised. Also, everybody witnessed the breakdown of Nathan's, and now Nathan's hasn't come out of the coma. So now the men are fucking pissed. And they all know that he went into. Everybody knows he's possessed with something. They all know it's something. They may not know it's fucking a spirit of another Galdran wizard, but they all know something's up with the guy that they all knew prior to the Galdran invasion. But they can't prove anything. And he forbid them from doing anything about it, and they're men that listen to their superior. But now their superior is knocked the fuck out. They don't know if he's going to come out of the coma. and they're pissed and they want to do something. And here comes this guy out of nowhere, gives them all shit, calls them all faggots, tells them all to do something about it. And they're like, all right, fine, we're gonna fucking do something about it.
Do something,
So,
pussies.
yeah, fine, fuck you guys. So 3/4 of them swim out with knives in their teeth, essentially, to the boat in the middle of the night. Right
like
before, while this battle's happening, most of them slip over the edge and just feign death.
Oh,
That's why the zombies could get so far. Nobody put it together because they killed all the guys that were on the fucking bridge with them. Then they went in the water, floated out in the cold, cold water, I might add. These are brave men. Floated out to the boat and slowly started picking off the crew one by one. That boat is also half crewed because most of the guys are ashore because they don't need a full crew while they're just sitting at dock, right? So they start killing all the crew because of their I think it was Andromeda actually who had clairaudience, who could actually see magically that there were different crew members and they weren't actually Galdron guys. They realized the odds were actually on their side. It was about 3-1 on their side, in fact. Only the elite Blackthorns made the difference, who could actually kill everybody on that boat by themselves if left to their devices. So they see this, they realize this. The other 3 members of the group are like, fuck yes, the challenge we've been waiting for, heroic battle, let's fucking go. Andromeda was not too thrilled, so I just decided to advance. I was going to do this a different way, but I just decided to use this opportunity. He's like, I'm going to stay at the boat. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, while you're there, Nathan feels immediately calmed by your presence. And then the other 3 leave. They go up onto the submersible. From there, Zverg, the fucking stud, has this bridge that's like a shadow bridge, and it can just go from a point to a point. So he's able to make a bridge from the submersible to the ship. So they say, fine, we're going to parlay. And they make this fucking bridge, and they start walking across the bridge. So they're halfway across the bridge, and that's where we end it for that night. So Andromeda's on the boat, they're halfway across the bridge. We finally get to play, or we play again the next week. Or not the next week. We don't play again until actually, just 2 days ago. My bad. So all this has happened in there. So we haven't had a chance to play since that. Basically, like blue balls, right? Like right before we're about to get into this fight. So we get to play again. Or that's when I play with Andromeda. We get to play that battle out the week after. Andromeda's player went on vacation, and like I said, he stayed on the boat. So it kind of worked out that he got back from vacation late, and we were able to play the battle out. So I play the battle out with the other 3 players. They, I can't remember exactly. They don't lip off the captain, but something happens between them and the captain, and he's like, "Oh right, that's right." The captain wanted to lure them out on the bridge, and they realize that the wizard is trying to cast a dispel magic on the bridge so that it disappears from beneath them, and then they fall into the water, and they can just pick them off, because they're saying that Andromeda isn't with them, and they don't know what he's talking about. And again, Andromeda stayed on the boat, so she's still not out there. So now the captain's pissed off, and he says, well, fine, I'll just kill you guys if you're not going to give me Andromeda, and I'll search the boat, and I still have her brother, and she's going to come for her brother eventually. So with their wicked spot check again, they're able to see that wizard is starting to cast Dispel Magic. So Zverg was it was Zverg, I think. Zverg was able to counterspell his Dispel Magic once, but now they get to see the power of Tixis. And that was kind of the point of this battle. I wanted them to see that people are falling to Tixis' sway for a reason. He is able to cast Dispel Magic again right after that. And you're not normally able to do that unless you have it memorized a bunch. And it's out of character for someone to have it more than like a few times.
Yeah.
So him having it a second time, and the point is that it's more. So he's able to do that, and when they realize that he's recycled the spell, they have to make a check to see if they're fast enough to get across the bridge. And fortunately, all of them make this check, and they're able to run across the bridge basically as it's disappearing and land on the deck, fully surrounded. As soon as they hit the deck, the other crew turns on the main crew, and there's a giant melee ensuing across the entire deck of the ship. So a very appropriate ending battle scene. You haven't said anything, so I want to give you a chance to talk.
No, you're good. I was just listening like, holy fuck. So, this is a lot to process. I did not expect things to go this way. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's a climactic battle.
Yeah.
So, it's actually pretty good. I'm going to try to describe it the best I can. I have a rough representation.
I was gonna say, do you have a map for that, like that last?
I do, yeah. I'm
gonna
bring it up.
I really wanted to hear about. Because
I
this
do
is
have a
like you
boat.
said,
It's
it's like the
not
climax.
finished.
So everyone deserves whatever they did. They deserves to be highlighted. You know, because it's the party. They're fucking. They had a little struggle going on, and then they overcame. Interpersonal struggle.
So this is you can see that looks like a
Yes.
boat. So
Ooh,
this is the
nice.
top section of the boat. These blisters out here, actually on these are trebuchets. I stopped this drawing because I have to actually make custom trebuchet images, and I've been putting it off because I don't really know how to do it, but I'll figure something out. But trebuchets go on these there, and there. If you'll remember back to their last big battle with Galdrin a couple years in game time ago, when they were getting pelted from the water on the land and they were taking the shots and breaking the shots up, these are the ships. That's where they were shooting from. So they're able to have a trebuchet here, 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 and here, and get full rate of forward fire, or turn it sideways and have two. Then along there, this is the lower deck, so that's open. Obviously, there'd be like a doorway right here. This is the top deck. This is where the whole battle happened. The other thing I haven't figured out yet, because this is a program I haven't used much. It's the same map making program I have, but it's customized for ships, and this is my first time using it
Oh, really?
for a ship.
That's pretty good.
But I have to figure out how to make like stairs. Like this would be the stairwell up, and then picture this as being where the wheel would be. So the wheel
Scales
would
and
be right here,
maybe
like
some
the ship
little
wheel.
furnishings, just to give
Yeah,
it.
there are furnishings, but not the ones that suit my needs, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is higher up. This would be the stern castle, I guess. Yeah, forecastle, stern castle. So the main part of the battle takes place across the whole stern castle. This point right here, there is all the blackthorns are arrayed around this corner in the back here, and then they're also arrayed at the head of the stairs, and then in that, standing in here would be the wizard and the captain. So basically, he's surrounded himself with his best troops. Out here is where he thought all the rest of the people on his side were, but now he's realizing that he's outnumbered quite significantly. So all the good guys are fighting the bad guys essentially. The group comes right here, almost in the middle of the ship, is where Zverg aimed his bridge.
Yeah, and
So
that
they
makes sense.
disembark
Yeah.
right here. So they just disembark here. So this in this battle is Quick, Shaw, and Zverg. Zverg has been itching to fight another wizard, and he does quite well. I'm just going to give you a broad overview, not a turn by turn, because it was a while.
You remember
I
it
remember
was
it was about 3
highlights,
weeks.
not their actual actions, but like the flair, the magic.
I do want to do a turn for turn battle for people one day, but I want to do it when it's fresh in my mind, and I just didn't have time between then and now. But anywho,
Well, we can set up a
in this
Tuesday night
battle,
where I'm listening and recording the turn by turn.
that'd be sweet too, because if you could help me recreate it, that'd be nice. So I'll do each person's role and what they do in the entire battle instead of just trying to go and remember what each one did in each turn. So I'll do Shaw first because his was not so much lackluster as he didn't accomplish as much as he thought he would because the dice really wasn't on his side this time.
Shaw.
So his goal was to get to the general meal. The general meal all happened in here. How this
again,
worked
everyone,
was
meal means melee.
melee. Yes, melee combat, hand-to-hand
I
combat.
had to
All
remind
happened
myself
here.
also, so that's why I said it.
Yes, it's an inside joke. I'll explain one day. So from here, the rule that I told them before was the elite soldiers are simply better than everybody else on the ship. They're all the equivalent of 6th level. They could slaughter everyone on there by themselves and survive. So what they have to do is it's all about speed. I said every round, one of these elite guys is going to become free from the meal that he's in. So you're going to have one more guy, an elite shooter, shooting at your people and you this whole time. So they understand this. Shaw goes up. His intention was to grab a guy and simply throw him over the edge. He spent...
that's Shaw for you.
Yeah, it is. And the only reason he does it, is because Quick goes ahead of him. And Quick has a special power that allows him to throw super easy. So he watches this little fucking 3-foot guy run along the railing because he takes
That's
a
just fucking
chumble check.
ridiculous to think about. Like, that's why it's fucking hilarious. He would do that,
Quick, just...
and it's so stupid to imagine a fucking midget throwing a huge fucking hulk of an enemy. Or not even a hulk of an enemy, but someone just 2 times his size. It's fucking
Well, Yoda's his fucking ass off over here. Jumps around, jumps between legs, finds a guy on the stairs and just whoop, flings him into the ocean. So Shaw's like, That's cool. I want to do that with an elite guy because that'll be a whole lot fucking easier than fighting them and getting through all those. It's a good tactic.
Yeah, it's a
Not a
midget
bad
way
idea.
to win.
It was about a 8-9 round battle. He
Oh.
spent 7 rounds grappling with one fucking dude it was 4 rounds grappling with a guy and 2 rounds tied up in combat. He just couldn't catch a break because in his mind, because again, I don't draw them battle maps. I just say picture a ship's deck with small little meal combats going on
special.
everywhere.
You do it for me, but not them.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
I know,
And for the viewers too. And so I'm like, just picture this whole deck full of little meal combats. If you wish, you can try to spend your turn basically bouncing between them, trying not to get sucked into one of the meal combats, and make your way to the stern castle. So Shaw was like, I want to try to just smack a guy on the way and keep going. Now, it's not that easy. Once you get in meal combat, you have to do special actions to get out. Otherwise, the guy gets a free hit on you when you go to turn your back and leave. So there is a risk to it. He's like, fuck it, I'm a stud muffin. And he is, because he just fucking smashed a vampire, a wraith, and a ghast. So he is a stud muffin. So he's like, fuck it. And everybody knows who he is. So as soon as they get across, they're like, yeah, for sure, for the watch. So he wants to make a show of it. First guy he walks up to gets tied up in combat with him for 2 rounds. He just fucking can't hit. And the damage is fuck all. He's like, son of a bitch. So then he gets to the stairs and he's like, well, I'm not going to get tied up in combat. I'm just going to grab a motherfucker and toss him over the edge. He's not a weak guy. I think he's got 18 strength. Or 17 strength.
Yeah, okay. That's like,
he's not a weak dude. So in his mind, like, there was nothing wrong with this. It was just the dice was fucking with him. So he grabs the guy and he gets stuck. And then that guy starts fighting him back. So they're basically like every old 80s action flick where the 2 guys grapple each other close to the edge of a building. And the one guy starts pushing the other guy's head over. And then someone bumps into him. And then they flip over. And then the other guy's pushing his head towards the ocean. And because that's a pretty significant drop from where they're at. It's almost 20 feet down to the ocean. So you fall 20 feet head first into the old fucking freezing cold ocean. That would suck.
Oh, yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah, so it's inland sea, actually, not ocean. Anyway. So that basically is what he does. He finally gets out of that combat near the end. Near the end, though, there isn't a whole lot left to kill. If I recall correctly, he goes up and does hit not the captain, the wizard once, I believe. And then the whole combat's over. So I'll leave Zverg for last because his was fucking, he did well. This is probably his best combat ever up until this point. Quick was good too. So Quick's next. As I said before, Quick went first. He fucking yoded his ass over, tossed the guy over the edge, lands on the balcony here, attracts the captain's attention. Quick was just balls out right off the beginning. Zverg also was balls out. He also has tumble, and he is also small. So he was able to get all the way here. However, he is not as good at it as Quick. So he basically lands here, almost falls backward off the edge. After getting all the way over there, manages to basically barely pull it off and lands on the ground instead. He's like, fuck it, I'm not going to try to balance on the railing. I'm a wizard. I'm not quite there. Because he's also a bard. So as a bard, he does get tumble training, but he's just not there yet to be as good at it as Quick. Quick's battle is in relation with Zverg's. Zverg ties up the wizard, while Quick goes for the captain, or in this case, the hound, the one who's going after them, the one who's after Andromeda. Also, during this whole thing, Darius is tied to this mast, and he just sits there and he stands there tied up and casually observes the whole thing. He does not help. He does not do anything, because I just didn't want to aggravate Andromeda anymore, to be totally honest. I didn't want to have him involved in the battle if Andromeda wasn't there, and I also didn't want to have anything happen to him. I just wanted to make it through, because I gave him my word that nothing would happen to the fucking guy. So I left him there. And if someone's tied up, nobody's really paying attention to him. So I just said that he observed and tried to help people the best I could. He also could have killed almost every single person on this ship. He is that powerful. I don't. If it's his character, I don't want to play him if he's not there, is the point. He stayed there, watched, and observed. So Quick and the captain are duking it out. Quick almost gets killed by the captain, actually. The only reason he survives is because I fucked up the dice damage. I said he had a cutlass. A cutlass is a d6. I was rolling d8s. When I rolled his damage, I rolled 2 8s, so maximum damage at 16. So that's like half of Quick's hit points right there, just in dice damage. And then there was also strength and a couple other buffs on there. And Quick had been getting shot up by the wizard who hit him with some magic missiles. He also was hitting Zverg. So that was Quick. It was just a good old-fashioned meal combat. Quick was a fucking stud. Again, Shaw got tied up on things, so Quick had to do it all himself. Quick was actually surrounded at one point and was not hit, I might add.
What?
Was not hit that round by the captain and 4 guys. None of them were Blackthorns, because the Blackthorns all obviously shot, because they're not going to get in meal combat. But it was the captain and 4 crew bodyguards. The crew bodyguards were just single D8, like wieners. But again, it's just 4 more minions for him to have to chop through to get to the captain, and 4 guys who could potentially hit him. And yeah, he did awesome one round. Not a single one was able to touch him. I did whittle him down. He finished the battle with only just less than double digits. I think he had like 9 hit points left or something like that. So they all took a beating. It was a good battle. What I had intended. I was very happy with it, and so were all of them. They felt pretty heroic at the end. And speaking of heroic, now we get to Zverg. He did awesome. This was his wizard fight. So he spent the whole time buffing him. So that was what he did. So while he was on the bridge, he's like, I'm going to cast this spell. Then he hits the ground. Then I'm going to cast this spell. Then he goes invisible. Makes his way between everybody's legs. Like I said, jumps on the balcony. Almost falls off. He's like, okay, I got to calm down. So he runs to here, invisible. When he gets there, he casts a buff spell. This other wizard knows he's there, but doesn't realize that he's not there. So that wizard wastes a turn casting See Invisibility. Wizard runs forward to look over the balcony to see if Zverg's there. But Zverg is literally out of his sight, so See Invisibility doesn't allow you to see through walls. He got pretty lucky by positioning himself on the stairs. In the meantime, he's right here on the stairs invisible, and Shaw and that other guy are locked in a life and death struggle right like 2 steps above him while he's doing that. So the wizard comes out here, looks, can't see him. Zverg casts a buff spell on himself that turn. Then that wizard turns to deal with Quick, who's with the captain, and that's when Quick took a significant amount of damage because everybody focused on him that turn. And it only happened to him once where he didn't get hit by anyone. Everyone else, he took a good old-fashioned beating. From there, Zverg then popped around the corner, and I can't remember what spell. He basically used some magic and started whittling away. I think he also has Magic Missile, so he Magic Missiled the wizard back, and then that wizard cast a 10d6 lightning bolt right in fucking Zverg's face. And Zverg ate that lightning bolt, said, thank you, I want more. He made his saving throw. He only took half damage from it, and he has as many hit points as a fighter almost because of his high constitution. Yeah, ate a 10d6 lightning bolt at level 6. Again, if you're not too familiar with the game, you don't know how significant that is, but that's a significant achievement. That has the potential to knock out almost any character of level 6 in one shot if you get good dice damage. I got average dice damage, so it wasn't like earth-shattering amounts of damage, but it was enough that if he was a wizard who wasn't the race he is, with the high constitution for all the extra hit points, it would have outright killed him if he failed the save, and taken him down to terminal levels. For sure, because to put this in perspective, wizards get D4s for hit points. That means every level, the most hit points they could have is 4. If he's level 6, that's 24 hit points. I did 21, or I did just over 20 points of damage like after the halving. It was actually 40 points of damage. The halved is 20 points of damage. You can see right there, that's almost enough to kill a wizard. Most wizards aren't known for taking high con. So the most they would have after that would be like 30 hit points. So I just wanted to explain, like,
I got you.
He made a cool character that has a lot of hit points, which is out of the norm for a wizard, and it's really rewarding him in his playstyle. He wants to be an up-in-your-grill, I'm going to fuck with you illusionist wizard, and it worked for him. He was only, well, if we can do this to scale, actually. This whole Stern Castle is only 20 feet across. So in this little 20-foot by 15-foot area, there was about 20 people fighting each other all around. Because again, there's 15 Blackthorns right around here. So there's barely enough room for everyone to fight. You got magic lightning bolts blasting off into the night. So all the people out on the shore are watching this magical battle erupt on this ship that's supposed to have nothing to do with anything. Only they all know something else that I'm just about to get to. So Zverg gets there, ends up killing that wizard himself.
Nice!
I wrote that in the notes. I think he killed him with a volley of magic missiles, or else
Fuck
one
yeah,
of his
dude.
fire spells. One of the two things. He used one of his better spells. He had to take the risk of using high level magic, so he had Tixis on his shoulder on that one, but he didn't fail any of the rolls. They did see that when that wizard died. You remember in Indiana Jones at the end when the guy the one who wears the round spectacles or whatever and
Yeah.
all dressed in black, the Heimlich Himmler looking dude, he erupts into like fire and stuff for looking at the ark.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah.
kind of death he has. Like they see that like all this power comes at a cost, and something happened to his soul when he died, and they hadn't seen that yet. Again, this battle was intended to show some of the Tixis stuff firsthand, and I really just tried to get that through to Sverg because he's the only one at risk from it, really. Uh, Eventually, Quick will be, but only if he sticks with the Sword Sage. So
Oh,
from
he's a
there,
sword
they
sage.
end
What
up
the hell is a
killing the.
sage?
I think Quick ends up killing the Hound himself and does pretty well. They kill the. So they end up killing the Hound and they end up killing the Wizard. When they do that, the bad guys on the ship fail the morale check, and the good guys basically get the upper hand. 3/4 of the ship surrenders. All the Blackthorns jump into the water to try to get away. Having more hit points, they actually have a good chance of getting away. It's kind of irrelevant though. So we end there. So at that point, I do want Andromeda to feel like included that night. So I give him the update on what actually happened to his character while this happened. So the short version is Nathan's dies in Andromeda's arms. It's just too
Oh,
much for him. He was already old. It was taking its toll. I like Nathan's too, more than I figured I would. He ends up dying in her arms. Before he dies, he apologizes for her getting raped. He feels responsible for it, even though he couldn't have possibly done anything, because if you go way back in the memory banks,
yeah, that
he
was
was
nothing.
sure.
Yeah.
He wasn't even there. And then he got overwhelmed by fucking 30 men. Like, he's only one guy. Like, when you have 30 people that turn on you and overwhelm you that much, you can't be held responsible. But that was the type of man he was. Everyone there was supposed to be under his watch. Now, what this does is it sets the stage for the end game of Andromeda. How I play the main characters and how I've kind of done it traditionally is one person, like prior to like only a couple times have I told a character before it starts, this is about you. The guy that we play GTA with, Spence.
Yeah.
Spence was one of those guys where I said, this one is about you. Like, there's very few people I'll tell them ahead of time. Usually I'll let one person in the group kind of stand out. An example of that is King Ash. That group had no real purpose in my mind when I did it. I just wanted to give them a truly open world experience, let them choose their own adventure completely. They had all the freedom in the world. They started with the Sanctuary, the most powerful country at the time in regards to magic. They were swimming in magic, or it was just so much that there wasn't anything they couldn't do. And I just wanted to see who stood out. And King Ash did that when he rode a fucking tornado. And that was before he was a half dragon. Again, that was basically
That's
the
like some
storyline
D&D
was,
shit that you'd read on
yeah,
Reddit. He'd rode a
exactly.
fucking
He made
dragon, dude.
himself, yeah, he made himself heroic. And in doing so, I was like, okay, well, this is about you now. And to reward him and to make it so it could be more heroic, I gave him the half dragon template. There's all sorts of things you can do for characters, but giving them more than they can get normally throughout the normal rules is probably the best way to reward them. Give them something truly unique. And turning him into a half dragon, it kind of did two things. One, it gave him that extra little thank you for being a good character. Here's some cool stat boosts. Here's a template that turns you into a flying half dragon that's larger than normal. That's pretty cool. I hope you like it. He loved it. And we worked on from there. And then it also paid homage to Lancelot, who got the same treatment. I did the same thing for Owen. I wanted to reward him for doing so well with Lancelot as the character, because this was after the whole Lost Vale plot line, after he rescued all the people, all the mutants from the Sanctuary. It was like, here's your capstone. Here's something. Only I want to do it earlier this time, because when I gave that to Owen, he was already like level 17, so it was like icing on the cake. He already had a ton of cool shit. It was kind of like, okay, here's a template. Okay, cool, I can fly now. That's great. Oh, I can breathe fire? Even that's better tits. Awesome. It didn't make that much of a difference. With King Ash, it did make a difference, but again, I didn't give it to him till they were almost done, like double digits levels. I want to say 12 or something like that. This time when I did it, I wanted to give it to someone early enough that they could truly do what they wanted in the world they've already set up their own background. Andromeda is someone now. Andromeda is a household name in one country. Andromeda is reviled in another country. Andromeda is barely known in another country. Like, she's known. And in doing so, I want to make it she's known and she's paid her dues, and this is the reward for paying her dues. And this all ties back to Nathan's. Nathan's death is vengeance. Like, really, vengeance on Withers for making him die, thinking he did something wrong that he didn't actually do. So this in turn pisses Andromeda off. Andromeda, the character, not the player. Andromeda, the character, is like, well, you did nothing wrong. Yeah, Andromeda, the character, is like, well, you did nothing wrong. Why are you angry? And that in turn pisses her off. And that gets the whole vengeance thing going. Like, fuck you, Withers. It's bad enough you've done this shit to me. Now this guy dies thinking something's his fault. That gets the old feelings going, gets him angry. And then Withers dies in his arms, and there's a possessing spirit. When a spirit loses its host, it jumps to the next nearest thing, which is Andromeda.
Shit.
So Andromeda sees this spirit lurching for her, and it's stopped dead, and then she sees a blinding white light.
No,
she is then taken to the plane between the god's realm and the mortal realm. They've been there once before when they got to witness Treetopper's ascension, and that's the same. It's almost like a purgatory, but not a purgatory, you know what I mean? That place between. Yeah. And while in this purgatory, she meets Duke, the god, the actual god of retribution and vengeance. Duke is the god that he is a cleric of, because every cleric needs to have a god, obviously. And when he made the cleric, because Andromeda is a single level of cleric, but like 5 other levels of druid. He just took cleric so that he could get some healing spells. That's pretty normal for humans to cherry pick from certain classes, because it's more about the end result, not the classes that you pick.
They're like a very versatile race too.
So yeah, absolutely, because they can switch out of them.
A positive to that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They have a short lifespan, but they can master many things in between. That's how it's explained. So he took that so he could get healing, because there was no other cleric. And I'm not trying to downplay that. It was a good move. But you still have to pick a god. None of the gods truly appealed to him in the sense that he thought the gods were going to work differently, essentially. So after playing for a bit, we decided, I just started throwing out gods and what they did and stuff like that. And Duke appealed to him, especially for vengeance, right? I mean, he got raped.
For sure.
So obviously vengeance is kind of right up her alley.
Andromeda is a girl, remember, listeners.
Yeah. Go back and listen to the episode, because I'm not explaining it again. It would be like, what, 4 or 5? From there, listen to all of them anyway. Help out Sork. Let's make them popular. So, where was I? Andromeda meets Duke. Duke basically says, I want you to be my champion in the mortal realm. So, again, this is world building in my mind. In the 2 years since this war has happened, a lot of people have died. There's two things that happen from that. It makes people more aware of their mortal life, which makes them more fervent towards the gods, because they want to make sure that when they do die, because lots of people are dying, they have somewhere to go. Because if you don't worship a god, you get stuck on the Fugu plane, or however the fuck you say it, and you're just wandering forever, you get turned into a lemur, you become the pawn of a demon. It's shitty. It's really shitty.
It sounds like some cosmic horror levels of shit.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to have somewhere to go. So belief in the gods skyrocketed during this war. In doing so, this empowers the gods, and the gods themselves are almost characters, and they level up too. So the god of retribution in a war is going to level up. That just goes without saying. Also, the god of water and ship sailing in a war that's primarily naval happens to get a huge boost in power. And that guy's name, or that god's name, is Grim. Grim, the god of water and the god of ships. He gets like a 5-fold increase in power. And he also meets Andromeda on the realm. And he says, hey, thanks to you and your invention, there's more dead people at the bottom of the sea than ever before. I want you to be my champion instead. It does, right? He is. Well, Grim is one of Owen's old characters, who is a ghast, or ghoul, actually.
Oh, okay.
He's a ghoul. He's a ghoul pirate. So like Jack Sparrow if he was undead. Yeah, he really played him piratey. He had a cool ship, the whole bit. But yeah, like he became the god of the water and god of pirates. So he's like, hey, like, thanks to you, there's a lot of dead people at the bottom of the sea. That suits me just fine. Lots of people worship me. I want you to be my champion instead. So there's a bidding war for Andromeda to be someone's champion.
Because Andromeda is somebody now. They're worth a fuck.
Exactly, because she is powerful and getting more powerful. She has a lot of stuff going for her. I just wish her fucking player would understand that.
I'm gonna
Like,
remove
really
that
go with
from
it.
the fucking episode.
No, I've told him this to his face.
Okay.
I want him to be happy with what he has because he has a lot of cool shit, and now he is going to get to use it because in about 4 sessions, so probably by the time this releases, we're done chapter 1. I can tell you what's going to happen now because it's already going to happen by the time we do it. 'Cause it's happening next week. The battle was finished. Actually, I haven't got to last night yet. So
Okay.
the battle. I should catch up first before I go into the future. So the battle happened on this ship. Andromeda has to choose between the two gods. I texted him all of this. He slept on it and thought about it for about 24 hours. Got back to me the next day. He said, "I want to be the god of Duke." So I said, "Okay, you get all these powers." So he gets about 5 powers for becoming the champion. Some of them are pretty low key. Like he doesn't take negatives for aging. So he can be like 100 years old if he gets there naturally. If he ages to 100 naturally, or with a little bit of magical extension, he won't lose his faculties. He won't lose strength. He won't become enfeebled. He'll be just as strong as he was when he was 20 when he's 100.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's one power
So
that
there's
he
like
gets.
no real debuff to aging.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool, right? So this again, and this goes to my thing where I wanted characters to get cool powers or to get cool powers. Yeah, early enough that they can do something with them by the time they're level 17, right? I want to get them through the door a little bit quicker to see what happens. So he gets that. He also gets the ability to be immune to one spell, either arcane or divine, of each level, 1st to 9th. Just one. That seems like nothing on the outside, but there's some spells that you could choose to be immune to that would really help you. Like, I'm pretty sure he's going to choose Scry so that he can't be Scryed on anymore. Pretty sure he's going to do that. But yeah, it's something that I stole from Forgotten Realms.
Oh, really?
The Chosen of Mystra can each do that. And I always liked that. I thought it was cool. It's not overly powerful because, like I said, it's just one spell. But it's still cool enough that someone would want it. So I gave him that. Another thing I can't remember. No, I can't remember that one. And then it was basically 3 generic things. It was +2 to wisdom. That's it. Just a buff, right? He's more close to the divine, so obviously the stat tied to his divinity goes up. So he got +2 to his wisdom. Then he got the choice between those two gods. Because he chose Duke, then he gets buffs related to the god that he chose. So he got +4 strength. Now he's the strongest character in the party with a 19 strength. So this little 5'2" waif is the strongest person in the party, which is fucking hilarious. So he also got another +2
midget,
to
bro.
yeah. He also got another +2 to his Constitution, giving him more hit points. So she's got a lot more hit points now too. She'll have an additional 7 hit points because they're all level 7s now as well. They level up at the end of this encounter. So he gets that, and then because he chooses Duke, he gets the ability to smite evil, just like a paladin does, at twice a day right now. Basically, he just gets to add a modifier to his hit and a bit of damage based on his level, and it's just something he can do in combat to give him that little extra edge. He also gets the ability to shape change into a tiger person. Duke, the character, was a celestial tiger. So a celestial tiger is like a humanoid tiger, a tiger man essentially. The guy that used to play him, he really liked the idea of a celestial tiger. He said, "Can I be a celestial tiger?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, you can be a celestial tiger." It's just going to take you a while to level up because they're quite stacked. They're very powerful. But he stuck it out. He almost topped it out. It was like a 17 level monster, and he got all the way to 13th or 14th level. So he did quite well with it before we quit with him. But yeah, Duke is a half tiger person. So I wanted these champions to be able to shape change into representations of who they go with. So if he'd have chosen Grim, he could have turned into a female Andromeda ghoul for a certain amount of times a day. And while he was a female Andromeda ghoul, he got a special little attack. Well, he chose Duke, so he can turn into a tiger person, and he will have tiger claws on his hand, and he strikes as a magic weapon if he takes on that form. Nothing overpowered, but cool, and I think it pays tribute to whoever they're going to be the champion for. And then you got one more ability, kind of irrelevant. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he got the 5 abilities. He adds them all to his character sheet. So he got that. So he topped out. They got their battle. Everybody kind of got what they wanted. Then we got to play on Tuesday. Tuesday I can pretty much rush through because not a hell of a lot happened. Because one thing happened at the end of that does tie into what happened last night. So the battle finishes, and they see a flying shape coming in as they see and Andromeda comes out of the submersible right after this happens. So it all kind of happens bing bang boom, just like they do in the books all the time. Everything seems to happen all in a certain order. King Ash just lands on their ship. He flew all night to get there. When he arrives, long story short, he says that the war's over for the Sanctuary. They lost. They had to pay 100,000 gold, which they paid to Galdrin. He just paid it, and then he flew over here. He said now that the war is over for them, his people are free. He asked for volunteers to help take back King's Hold. And every single person in the Sanctuary volunteered to help.
Nice. Okay, so the war is over.
Yeah, now they want to help take back the most important place in the world. He then waves his hand, and he has a ring in it,
so
and the ring acts as a portal.
The Northlands, like the little mini. Fuck. Remember how we talked about what could be next for the party? You're not going to do the Northland storyline where they.
No, the Northland storyline's different. No, this is different than that. This is the Sanctuary wanting to help take back King's Hold because they know that Galdrin's taken it over. And they need to fight back against Tixis because the whole framework to hold them back has now been destroyed. So they need to fight back to hold the undead at bay again. So they're there to help take back King's Hold and then fight out from there. Now, again, they were totally outnumbered before. Like, what were they going to do? But now they have the whole weight of the Sanctuary, all the survivors. They got about 600 people. There's only about 400 people in the castle. So now all of a sudden, the weight of numbers is finally on their side. So King Ash twists a ring on his finger. This creates a portal, and through the portal, all 600 people arrive and start loading onto the boat. Now they have an army to fight back with. So that's where that left off. That's the final thing that happened before we met up on Tuesday, which was 2 days ago. We meet up. Most of the days taken up by a new player.
Let's take a pause.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to recap the like I said, the final battle happened. I just want people to know I'm also paying attention. So the final battle happened. The final battle happened. The final battle happened. There we go. So that happened. Andromeda is just riddled with guilt because she couldn't protect Nathan's. Nathan died from the stress of everything that happened. He felt guilty for not being able to help her getting raped, right?
Yeah, Nathan's is riddled with guilt. Andromeda had no idea he felt guilty.
Oh, okay.
He basically apologizes to her, and then he dies in their arms.
Okay, so
he just says, "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you," and then he dies. And that pisses her right off, and she really wants vengeance. And then that spirit tries to possess her, and then that just sends her body into shock. And then she goes to the plane and meets the gods. They both ask her. She chooses the one god. And when she comes back, thank you for reminding me, though. When she comes back, the spirit is instead possessed in the magical dagger that Nathan's gave her way, way back in like our 4th session.
Oh, I forgot about
that. Yeah. So now she's got a possessed dagger. Now it's not a possessed dagger like Boulder had. It's a container, and he now has, or she, like Andromeda, has this possessed wizard at her mercy. That wizard's trapped in that knife.
Okay, so
now she can grill that wizard for information or do whatever she wants with him. Thank you. You reminded me of that.
Well, I was just going to say, so the battle happens, Galdrin's defeated, and now it's time to rebuild. Sanctuary is coming to help to take over King's Hold. Because there's still, like, a lot of undead and shit going on over there?
Yeah, there's tons of undead. Now they need to be beaten back. But very first, that castle needs to be taken back from the Galdrin interlopers. So, last night's session happened. Took a little longer because we have a new player as well. So we now have a 5th person in the party. A good friend of mine. He played way back when I had the 2 groups going that were fighting on the same world. But he got in on the tail end of it, and he wasn't able to really play much. He had a spell thief, but he didn't play for very many sessions. Good dude. I talked to him, and he wanted to play a paladin, so now we have a paladin in the party.
Does he know
the first portion of that... YouTube? Sorry?
Does he know that we do YouTube with the
Yeah,
recaps and
he's
stuff?
cool with it. Yeah, he likes all that stuff. He doesn't care about that. But he got him that. So I made a paladin character sheet for him. He rolled up some good stats, and it just took us a little bit to get going last night because it was his first session. They made their plans. Their plan is a 3-pronged attack. I'll go back to that other map. 3-pronged attack was come up with by Andromeda, who now walks around with a golden halo. The fucking
Nice.
Sanctuarians treat her like fucking fans treat wrestlers. You know how like the WWF has their super fans, and like that's how she's treated. Like these guys are like, you saved our country. That's how. So she also finds out she was used by propaganda by King Ash to keep his people from being low, because he lost half of his population in that battle. Like they only had 2,000 fighters, and they lost 1,000 fighters. Keep in mind they killed almost 10,000 fucking Galdrin. But yeah, every loss hurt for them. So they were really low there for points, and he had to basically get them out of spirits by using Andromeda as propaganda, and it worked. So now these people got to fight beside the person that they know is their hero. So their hero had a 3-part battle. She wanted to have a boat out here just so that they knew that they could be bombarded, because they have that boat now, and it does have trebuchets. Then they have a main force that's going to go up through here. It's a diversionary force to pull people and keep attention here. While all the attention is here and out here, they're going to send an extra force all the way down here and use bridges, flying, magic, whatever they can to get a rear attack over here. We figured out that Zverg is powerful enough as a mage to cast a bridge that goes from there all the way to there. All the way across that gap. So you can cast a bridge from this point and land on top of that wall. And that's precisely what they do. So they take that spell, and the Sanctuary also has spells, but they make a bunch of bridge spells to go here. So ambush force, main diversionary force, other diversionary boat force. They, as a group, so the 5 of them, including the new paladin, go through the secret entrance using the submersible in the cover of darkness. Use the submersible to get to the main dock, take the secret route back to the High Protector's Manor. When they left the other time with Nathan's, they sabotaged it in such a way that they could undo the sabotage, so that anybody trying to follow them out of the High Protector's Manor couldn't. Because what they didn't know at the time was, like I said, that guy had been scrying on Andromeda, and he knew they were close. They also knew that they were there for Nathan's, because what the fuck else would they be there for? They knew that Nathan's was with them forever.
Yeah.
They know that people know that Nathan's been taken over, so it's not a rocket scientist to realize they're there for them. So he set a trap. The best trap he thought he could. He had men stationed everywhere on the outside. They had no idea about the secret route because it's a fucking secret. So he had all these people stationed outside the house, and they just snuck in under his nose, took Nathan's, and fucked off. And he was absolutely baffled. And when they left, they sabotaged it. So he did find the button for the secret door, but because they sabotaged the door, nothing happened when he pressed the button. So he has no idea how they got in. He just knows there's a secret entrance. So when he left that night, he now has guards inside of there patrolling to see how the fuck they're getting in. So they are going into there right now. So they let the battle get going so that everybody's good and distracted, make their way through the secret tunnel, get to Nathan's old office. They undo their sabotage, and a fairly humorous thing happened. Andromeda didn't find it too funny, but I think he calmed down and had a laugh at it later.
I like Andromeda, man. Well, yeah, the person.
He's just a little worked up, that's all. Because he really likes his character, and now he's so invested that he's a little scared.
Interview kind of stands too. It's like he's like the main character, and everyone has their own, like, he's more assertive about what he wants, and that works with the party because everyone else has their own different personality types. It may cause conflict, as we said, but in the end, it works for them. Like in the end, it works because you're all friends and you all have your own different personalities that mesh with each other.
Well, he's now the strongest one in the party, and in order to open the secret door, you have to make a strength check. So he's all jacked. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do this strength check. So he rolls a dice, rolls a 2. Fuck. All right, I'll use my nightly. Takes his nightly, rolls a 3.
Oh, yeah, fuck. You cheap bastards.
Uses uses another person's nightly. Rolls like a 4. So now he's pissed. because he's got the highest strength in the whole group,
Shittiest
but he
rolls.
can't roll worth a shit. So I decided to take it the other way because failure doesn't necessarily mean you're too weak. The point of the strength check was to use the proper amount of force to open the door quietly so that the people above couldn't hear. So he just failed doing that. So I thought it would be funny to kind of play up the fact that he's way stronger than he anticipates now. So he's like, "Look, guys, I want to do this. I'm strong now. Let me test it out." So he goes up to the wheel, and in my mind, he just fucking cranks it so hard because he's not used to being so damn strong. You know, like Superman crushes shit by accident kind of thing.
Yeah.
In my mind, that's how I tried to play it off instead, which I thought would be a lot funnier. So he goes in there, fails the check, fucking
It's
thing
fucking
just goes
hilarious,
flying
dude.
down because he's so strong. He's like, "Oh shit!" Drops down. Luckily, everybody was keyed. Quick wins the initiative, runs up there, shanks the guy immediately. They kill everybody in there without his. Or sorry, Zverg went first, tries to make them all unconscious, only gets one of them unconscious. Then everybody else in the group comes through and takes out the rest of the people before they raise a racket. Then they take out the other people out in the hallway and clear the whole house. Again, there wasn't a whole lot of people in there because all the good fighting men are obviously out on the walls. There's still priorities. He figured 7 men to keep an eye out for these people. At least one will get away and raise the alarm. That's the best he can do. But they end up coming through quick, and they end up killing everybody in the High Protector's Manor, and that's where we end it for the night. Their plan is to go from the High Protector's Manor to the Battle Hall and kill all the administrators that are left over from Galdrin. From there, they then have to convince all the other soldiers to quit fighting. That's their plan. They don't know how they're going to do it quite yet. But they don't need to kill every Galdrin soldier to the last man. They just need to kill the command structure. And that's their self-imposed primary objective, is to kill the guys in charge and then tell the soldiers, "Look, you've been misled. The war's actually over," because it is. Because the Sanctuary's been beaten, the Northlands has been beaten, and the Galdrin Rebellion is put down.
I was going to ask, like, are you going to do the Northlands thing where one guy decides to stop being such a savage and actually take over the whole country?
Northlands is going to be its own thing. There is now.
Okay.
I can talk about the future now, and then that'll be it basically
Well, let's
for tonight.
this and then we'll talk about the future.
I am done. That was it. So basically, they're going to make their way into the battle hall next week, and then that's it for this whole thing. They're going to go to the battle hall. There'll be that final battle. We'll see how they resolve getting everybody taken care of on here, and then that's technically it. I'm going to say you guys are free now. They still have the evidence about Withers and screwing everybody over, and they want to go to Sort so that they can break the alliance between Galdrin and Sort, which is almost assuredly going to be a thing. But now I'm like, you guys you're free. I want them to be free.
Yeah.
So
see what they want to do, like say, hey, you guys can still live in this world. Like, you should let them choose to go places and then just interact with people and do a whole bunch of side quests. That'd be pretty cool.
That's what I want to do. It's side quest time. That's another way to look at it. Only it comes with a certain amount of time. There's a 5-year window. So there's 5 years until the next major event happens. Only, unlike this time, although it is kind of like this time, there's going to be a world event, but I kind of steered them towards being part of the world event this time, right? I kind of steered them towards Gadrin's Hammer and then got them involved in the war by putting them with Treetopper and kicking all this stuff off. This time I'm not doing that. They can stay the fuck out of it if they want to. They don't have to do anything. I'm going to progress my world in 5 more years, and they're along for the ride. If they want to do something about it, they can. If they want to just go to the island and make a settlement there, they can. If they want to help the Sanctuary again in this thing, they can. It's totally and completely up to them. Because I want Andromeda and the rest of them to feel like they can do stuff now and they're not going to be jerked around by my storyline. Because it's a valid concern. You want to be able to... I understand that we live in an uncertain world, but at the same time, this is a game where you're supposed to be able to fucking do something. I've given them property, right? They have property and income. They now have reasons to do stuff. Like Zverg is chomping at the bit to get more magic. He can now cast 4th level spells. He don't have a lot of 4th level spells. I gave him basically every single 1st, 2nd, 3rd level spell because he had access to all those. But any of the higher level magic stuff, no, not a lot of it. So he is chomping at the bit to go to a dungeon.
So I just wanted to say, those fuckers still need to do the last 2 fuckers need to do the interview. Shaw needs to do the re-record.
Wait, you're in my server. You can ask him anytime you want, man.
I completely
they both have Discord too.
I know. I got him. I got one of them on Discord. I just forgot to follow up with it because, you know,
It's been
life
an
happened.
eventful 4 weeks too, man. It's been
Yeah,
out of
for
the
sure.
ordinary. I'm not gonna lie, my equilibrium was out because I hadn't played D&D in so long. It's funny how you get so used to something, but man, I was a grouchy motherfucker until we got to play. Like, yeah, you
Yeah,
get so used to
understandable.
something to be your stress relief, I guess, and you don't get it, and you start getting aggravated.
But
Yeah, I needed to
I want
play.
to do it before, like at least before they get too far in all the side quests. Because you remember, I always ask, what is your plans for the character once the war is over? And now,
That's a good question to ask them now
yeah,
because it's
I got
over.
Andromeda and Quick. Quick already had like was set for already from the beginning, pretty much.
Andromeda wants to go. Well, Andromeda dropped a bomb on me, but I don't want him to go through with it because it's exactly the opposite of what he had an issue with. But he was like, I could lead the sanctuary now. That's not out of the realm. Because, like I said, King Ash just set him up for propaganda. So we could retire King Ash, have
Political.
Andromeda take over the sanctuary. But I told him flat out, you have 5 years, and then I'm fucking with the sanctuary. So you've had issues with me fucking with your future? Well, I'm telling you for free, I will fuck with your future so hard it will piss you
Oh
off.
fuck, man, you're.
So just don't choose to leave the sanctuary if you want a dependable future. So that was I was just being real with them because I don't want them to think that I'm sugarcoating shit. I am fucking with the sanctuary next time. I'm fucking with all my countries in a different way. It's not going to be just an old-fashioned war.
I can't
I've
wait
been
to
pretty
hear
jacked to
about it and
do it.
give suggestions. I have
Yeah,
an
I don't want to talk
idea.
about it yet.
Well, you remember, like, well, if he wants to run a political battle, like where like maybe King Ash is not just killed, but is taken, puppeted, or
Oh,
maybe someone like is, like an imitator or whatever, is pretending to be King Ash while King Ash is like, sick or something. You know what I mean? Some kind of like political shit where they got to investigate. They deal with like thugs, like small criminal groups, like kind of like an Elder Scrolls thing.
yeah, I don't know. I hope that he just focuses on small things. He comes up with like 7-part plans that I can fuck over with just one session, not even knowing sometimes that I'm doing so. I want him to just do stuff small. 5 years. What can you logically achieve in 5 years?
Well,
Well,
it took
more realistically, it's 3 years because it takes a while to get from point A to point B, and you're going to do some traveling, I'm sure.
It took like
So
what
what
two
can you do?
months to go through 2 years in game. So 5 years. That's gonna
Yeah,
be some time. That's pretty cool though. I wouldn't like
yeah.
rush the time either because who knows? We might have like 6 months of fucking stuff to do for 5 months. If that make you
Well,
know what I mean?
I'm counting it all down. It's all getting counted down.
Oh,
Not only
nice.
that, he's going to start getting followers, and he wants to have these followers. Well, if you want followers, you have to go get those people. I'm going to allow his first ones to come to him, but from then he's going to have to go find people who want to work for him and promise them to come with him. That's an adventure all on its own. I think that'll be cool. He wants to have cool shipwrights. Well, let's go around to some Galdrin places, some Fangorn places. Try to scoop some fucking shipwrights, get some good ones. Or he wants lumberjacks so he can build stuff better. So let's go get some lumberjacks and gives them. They can make their own things to do now because they're to the point. Two of them have guaranteed fixed incomes. All they got to do is level up and they get shitloads of money. The other two, they have connections at the watch. I'm going to give them honorable discharges from the watch because it's not like fucking Game of Thrones where it's a lifetime thing. You serve the watch in your
Is
youth
there like a
as a
Purple Heart
Northlander,
for the
but
watch?
everybody else doesn't.
Is there like a
Yeah,
Purple Heart type thing?
they're
Like
going
you
to get
give that to
rewards
them?
for sure. Especially Shaw. He really came through. That won't be forgotten. If it wasn't such a hassle, I was actually going to make Shaw and Quick co-commanders of the watch, but it spreads them all out, and the point is to keep them all together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And now with the Paladin as the new dynamic, we're going to see some changes because he is lawful good, and they were not always doing good things, and he's going to call them out on it.
Oh, an
Like,
inter-party like moral, like
yeah,
morality thing. Like,
inter-party morality. That's right, my man. It actually
so
happened that night. For instance, when they broke into that room that I talked about, 2 of the guys were knocked unconscious, and 4 of the guys were killed outright.
and that
Quick,
wasn't needed according to the
yeah,
paladin, right?
well, no, Quick and Andromeda wanted to kill the last 2 guys to make sure there were no witnesses. And of course, the paladin's like, I don't want to kill unconscious people. And that
It
right
makes
there
sense.
was its own little thing. So now they got to be like Mr. T and the fucking choppers, where they got to kind of like, I don't know, like trick him. Like, go look over there. And then they go shank shank while he's got his back turned. But if he busts him, that's going to be its own thing too. So I'm
PvP,
hoping that
bro.
his presence makes them less violent
No,
because
no, PvP.
D&D parties are just violent as fuck, and it'd be a little more realistic if they weren't quite that bloodthirsty and violent.
No, it depends on what world. You remember, we're in a world where like no one can be good or just completely bad. It's like super complicated. Per your
It is, but
design, you fucking
D&D,
weirdo. I'm just kidding.
but D&D holds you to standards for what you believe in.
That's true. That's
Because it
very
has
true.
to. It has class dependent stuff on it. If that paladin does evil stuff or allows it to happen in his presence, he loses his power. So he has a
That's
vested
right.
interest. Yeah, he has a vested interest in making sure that people are good in his presence.
Especially if he wants to maintain like a powerful character, a person with connections and faithful to his religion.
But get this. Let's take it a step further. And we'll probably stop after this because
Oh, you're
we've got a
good.
good
Go
one here.
GTA time.
So here's where morality gets sticky. A paladin is lawful good. His whole purpose in life is to kill evil, correct?
Yep. And
Okay.
spread the word of
What do you
their
do when
God.
you have orcs that are born inherently evil and you have orc infants? And that paladin kills an orc infant.
You fuck. They
Even
lose
though
a
that
whole alignment because even though orcs are evil, that's still taught. It's not inherently in. People don't
no,
wake
it's
up
not
and say,
taught.
"I'm."
It is inherent.
Oh
It's
shit.
not taught. It is inherent. They
Well
are
then,
born evil, but
if
you're
they're
still
evil
killing an
naturally,
infant.
so if they're evil from outright, that is a known scientific, a scientific fact in terms of D&D. Then no matter what, they're still evil persons. Like killing baby Hitler. It's like Hitler's going. They're destined to be that the way they are. So killing a baby is just killing an adult
Is
just
it
way too
that
early.
simple? I'm sure there'd be someone listening to this be like, well, no, it's still a baby.
Now
And then
fuck your
that's where you
baby.
get in sticky, yeah, that's where you get in sticky morality issues. That's where paladins make it fun. I have a feeling I've kind of made it a bit more difficult for myself. I have to step in more than I usually do. But it makes me accountable for their alignments too, because I had to point out to Andromeda, you're neutral. You're not really bloodthirsty. Wouldn't your natural state be to live and let live?
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
knock him unconscious, and if he dies while he's unconscious, that's his problem. But why would you help it along by slitting his throat? Or if you knocked him out and he fell in the water and he could drown, you wouldn't really take the time to make sure he could live because it's like, whatever. So you could be like that too. Quick, his character, just in general, like the guy who plays him, he just likes to tie up loose ends. That's just in his nature. Every character he
Sounds about
plays
right.
is a little bit killy. It's just what he does. Lots of players are like that. There's killy players. They just want to kill everything that moves, just to be sure. Like exterminatus players.
I sense some hostilities there for Warhammer.
Yeah, that's right, buddy.
I,
Exterminatus.
I don't understand the lore too much, but Exterminatus, that's a D&D thing. No one else goes by it. It's something us.
Yeah.
I
All
like
right.
Warhammer.
Well, we should call it because I can still get a bit of GTA in, and it's probably 11:30 there. I think, right?
Yeah, give me a second. I gotta finish this level. Been getting 3 stars on this like weird parkour game, so your boy has to get the full 3 stars. Fuck. All right, ending it now. Let's see. Oh, hour and 30